Hello, I'm making a quick video in response to one or two emails I've received about the settings for the Alesis dm10. And to be honest, it's easier to do a quick video than actually explain the settings that I've got on the sound module. Now, some of the features on this will affect with the crosstalk, and the send and receive will affect the settings if you use an Easy Drummer. But say I've got Bluejay on my sound module. So I'm going to also show the EQ settings I've got on the sound module if you've not played around with that, and the Xtalk and the send and receive from the pads. Now, firstly, each kit will be different, so even though I'll show you my settings, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll work on your kit, because the actual tension of the heads, if you think, will affect it, because if it's loose it'll probably dampen it more than if it's tighter, because you can get more vibrations. And also down to the floor, this is a carpeted floor, so you think that will take vibrations away. And also with my kit, I've done a video because I've actually secured my kick pad, bass pad, onto this cross member there. So I've got a video on that, so that might cause a bit more vibrations if I hit my kick pad. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but there is slight vibrations on there. So, for those people who don't know, basically, what is it? Can I zoom in to make that a little bit clearer for you? Yes, there we go. Now, I'm not going to go through the settings and all the different sounds that I've got for each individual kit. I've just got one called Snappy. Now, if you go to, there we go. Yeah, so that button there, X trig, and then you go to your triggers. And if you press note chase, hang on a minute, let's put it in there. There you can see it. Note chase. And if I say hit the hi-hat, obviously it'll come up with my settings. So if I do a quick 2 or 3 second view on that. Now, problems that I've actually had with my kit, if you have these settings too high that I've found, especially with, say, the hi-hat, snare and bass drum, if I'm riding, say, on my cymbal there with a bass and a kick, sometimes I found that it would actually mute either the kick or the snare, or in most occasions actually, it was actually the cymbal. Either cymbals would stop playing, because that's the settings I had on here were actually too high. So I found on Xtalk, receive and send, try and keep them quite low, because if you do put them too high, it'll start interfering. So basically for hi-hat, there you go. If there's anything comes up which is quite high, again I'll try and talk about it. Now, also for input, that would be quite important to you actually, so let's go back to input there. Sensitivity on 60, then to the trigger, and curve again. Now, I've got the spline curve, because you think the way that hi-hats actually use, you want quite a bit of dynamic there, so you wouldn't use the log or like a constant sound on there, because it's not going to give you a realistic sound. So that is hi-hat. Going to snare. If I go backwards on this, spline 1, again, so you get them kind of nuances and the ghost notes and so on the snare. Trig on there. And sensitivity. Now, because, obviously, he's lost up there, you are going to hit your snare quite hard. I found that putting the sensitivity quite low, obviously it goes from 0 up to 100, so I found keeping it low, because you are going to hit that quite hard. And it's a kind of a balance between the sensitivity, trig back on, there we go, and the threshold. If you put the threshold quite high, then again that means you're going to have to hit it harder to get a sound out. And the read trigger, I've got on 39 there. Now, these are just completely by trial and error, so usually when I come on this, I'll be playing and notice it won't work as well as what I want it to, and I can end up like fiddling around with these. But so I've kept this for a few weeks now. The settings are okay. So if I put the rim as well with the snare, show you what I've got on that. Start from input first. There's my input. Trig, and the curve. Alright, so that's hi-hat, snare done. Let's go to kick drum, bass drum, whatever you want to call it. So spline 2, sensitivity. So by the looks of it, actually, I should have just checked this before I actually started to do this video. I think last time I started playing around, it looks like I've got my, put it back on there, majority of my pads are on Xtalk receive and Xtalk send on 3. So trying the first symbol now, hitting that, same again, and there, let's go to input first, trig, curve. I'll do the other crash that I keep here as well. Let's get the both crashes out of the way. Now I found with this symbol, the reason why it's up at retrigger at 88, if it's lower, it seems to want to trigger it. It's like a sound that, well, the sound that symbol makes, it like does 2 triggers at once. So I found putting the retrigger value up higher actually made the sound better. So try, if you're having the same kind of problem, try putting that up and see if it sorts it. And there is sensitivity. Now let's try ride. Obviously the bell, I'll do the bow first. So sensitivity 80, trig, again, and going to curve, and again, nice spline curve because you want that nice kind of flowing cymbal sound. Going to the bell, hang on a minute, there we go. Now because I want my bell sound usually, it'll be more of a constant type of sound, so that's why I've got it at spline 4. You don't want your kind of bell sound to be really quiet. Usually for the more rock stuff that I do, you want that really to cut through, so that's why it's up higher. So see, I've got it at 4 and 4 on receive and send, so I must have had 1 or 2 problems with it interfering with the snare and the bass. And sensitivity up at 90. And just the switch type I've not got it on piezo there. So the piezo transducer, obviously that's like a little piezo crystal. So that's where you can get your nuances. But by how hard you actually hit it is the current that will send from the piezo transducer. But just having a switch will just keep a sound being constant going through there. So going to the toms, first tom. So input, trig, curve, and going to the rim of the tom there. Again, I've got it on log 4. Now, if I remember rightly, yeah, I've got the sensitivity quite low because when I'm actually playing my toms, I've not got the rubber pads on my toms there. I've not taken them off. This was a second-hand kit. I didn't actually get them. I would like it. I bought one on eBay. So obviously for the snare, obviously you can tell the difference. I wish I did have them. And I found it quite hard to try and source where you can actually get them from. Perhaps I should get in touch with Alesis. But if I'm playing around my toms, I do catch a rim there. I do want that to come through, but not too loudly. So that's why I've got sensitivity down quite low. And I think it's pretty much the same. Right. The reason why the send and receive is quite high on this is because hitting that tom rim there, the vibrations is easily going to go through the mount onto the frame, and I found that was either triggering my snare or the second tom there. So that's why I've got the settings quite high for those ones. If I just go to tom 2 rim, the same kind of deal there, look, the receive is up quite high. Curve, same thing on log 4 there, and sensitivity 30. To be honest, it should be not make much difference between 12 or 13. I'm probably just lazy and couldn't go up to 12. But going to the tom head, for tom 1 and tom 2, up quite high. Tom 3, head. And again, if I go through the settings there, yeah, very similar. Tom head 2, yeah, very similar. Tom 3 rim, yeah, exactly the same. By the looks of it as, was it? Let's have a look actually. Tom 3 and Tom 2. Xtalk. Slightly higher. And my That's my Tom 4, that one. Now some of the settings I should play around with. If I start hitting that there, I'm actually hitting the rim with my kind of 4th tom there. If I start hitting it harder, does that bring up Tom 3? No, it doesn't. On there. So still on my Tom 4. There's the settings compared to Tom 3. Massively different. On Tom 4, let's go to curve. Input. Yeah, it's the same type of deal on there. Now quickly, if you've not played around, if you are using the sound modular Blue Jay or the Alesis sounds, if you go to instruments there, and you go to FX, you can have a play around with the EQ. Now this reverb doesn't work because the sound requires more memory. For Blue Jay, you can't play around with this studio type. You can just the normal Alesis dm10. If you've not put the Blue Jay sounds on, that will work. And using studio is quite nice. But FX, FX are off there. The compression, this is quite good to have on as well, so it'll make obviously compress your sounds. Now I've got one called Crunch there, and I've just changed the compression to 2 and the output level to 07 decibels. And the EQ, again, play with this if you're playing through headphones. If you want that bass drum really to kick through and have that bottom end, this is the settings I've got. I'd say it might not be perfect for what you're using. What headphones do I use? I want to get some half decent headphones. I think they're about 40 quid. These ones, Sennheiser HD. In a minute, put that stick down. HD 205s, and again, they're pretty good all round headphones. Those I use. I'm not sure if anyone's used Beats or not. So obviously, I've listened through them, and they're quite bassy. So you might want to change your settings. But saying this is purely for the setup I've got. It might not work for yours. So try it. Hopefully I've covered everything there on my kit. I say still love it. This room's going to have to be changed soon though, so I'm going to have to move this kit elsewhere, so perhaps I'll change my settings, but hope it's helped. Please, any questions you've got, email me and I'll try and get back in touch. Thank you very much.